March of 2025 became the point of no return in trade relations between the United States and China. Beijing unexpectedly canceled 1.8 million tons of soybean contracts from the U.S., delivering a staggering blow to the American economy worth $22 billion. This is not just a number, it is a strategic warning. China, which controls 13% of global trade, demonstrated that it can impact an opponent's economy without firing a single shot. The cancellation of 16 major contracts was not only a financial strike, but also a geopolitical message. We know how to control your pain. This attack proved especially devastating for farmers in Missouri, where losses are estimated at $1.1 billion. Thousands of producers who relied on the Chinese market were left in a vacuum. Beyond losing a strategic partner, processing plants, logistics chains, and the entire export sector were thrown into jeopardy. Beijing acted precisely and coldly. It wasn't just about beans, it was about influence. Of particular concern is the fact that China previously controlled more than 42,000 acres of American farmland through WH Group, the owner of Smithfield Foods. The cancellation of the contracts sharply intensified debates in Washington. How acceptable is foreign ownership of the land upon which the nation's food security is built? Amid this economic pressure, China is reorienting toward Brazil. This country is not only increasing its presence in the Chinese market, but is also confidently displacing the U.S. from its traditional role as the leading agricultural exporter. While American farmers tally up their losses, Brazil is filling the vacant niche, reorganizing global supply chain logistics. But the shockwave from China's maneuver is spreading much further. The U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts a 6.4% increase in food prices in 2025. Every American household is already feeling the effects. Food expenses have risen by an average of $47 per month. This is inflation disguised as a transitional phase. Equally alarming is the situation on the financial front. Since 2021, China has reduced its holdings of U.S. Treasury bonds from $1.06 trillion to $816.3 billion. In just 17 months, a drop of $243.7 billion. This is not merely a rejection of securities, it is the dismantling of dollar dependence. Gold has taken its place. Since 2022, China has purchased over 300 tons of gold, bringing its total reserve to 2,213 tons. While the U.S. hopes for dollar stability, Beijing is building an autonomous financial system resilient to external shocks. But the most painful shift has occurred on the energy front. After the U.S. proposed a 10% tariff on oil and gas from Canada, Chinese company Rang Petrochemical opened an office in Calgary and swiftly signed a strategic contract with Suncor. The first oil deliveries to China began as early as June of 2024. Thanks to the completed Trans Mountain Expansion (TMX) project, Canada gained independence from American roots. Now, 890,000 barrels of oil per day go directly to Asia. This marked a symbolic break. Where Canada once sent 97% of its oil to the U.S., it is now signing 15-year agreements with China and India, who are willing to pay more and demand no political concessions. The U.S. is left on the sidelines, watching its former energy ally build a new reality. The situation is worsening. Gas prices in the U.S. are rising rapidly, reaching $5.25 per gallon in California. Refineries are operating at 71% capacity instead of the usual 89%, and consumers are starting to wonder if they can still afford a cup of coffee. Rising prices for steel, beef, and vegetables have become a new daily nightmare. The U.S. economy, long dependent on cheap Canadian energy, is now left without a safety cushion. While America suffers losses, Canada is growing stronger. Thanks to TMX and the LNG Canada project, a joint venture between Shell, Mitsubishi, and Chinese investors, LNG exports to Asia are planned to begin by the end of 2025. Today, Canada exports 8.6 billion cubic feet of gas daily, mostly to the U.S. But soon this route will be redirected to the Pacific region. Logistics, infrastructure, and investments, everything is aligned in a single direction. While Canada is expanding its gas terminals, China delivers the next blow. It halts LNG imports from the United States worth $2.4 billion annually. Instead, new contracts with Australia, Qatar, and Russia. With Australia alone, an agreement has been signed for the supply of 600,000 tons of LNG per year for 15 years. The fuel is 20% cheaper, and transportation is 10 days faster. China is gradually pushing the United States out of its circle of strategic energy partners. Simultaneously, China is investing in the East Asia pipeline from Russia, ramping up the extraction of critical minerals and building an autonomous energy security system. Having lost the LNG market, the United States now faces an oversupply, canceled contracts, and rising logistics costs. In such a situation, only one question remains. Is the Trump administration's tariff policy really making America great again? Or has it opened Pandora's box, in which trade partners are leaving one by one for more favorable players? The answer is becoming clear. Instability, constant reversals, and reinstatements of tariffs, the absence of a coherent strategy, and a loss of trust from allies are weakening the United States not only as an economic giant, but also as the center of global trade. In this new order, the winner is the one who offers stability, access, and benefit. And while the United States argues about policy, China and Canada are already implementing it.